Hello everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Jazz Tunes with Mitch. Just kidding. Sorry, if you didn't hear any of my episodes yesterday, I did mention that my recording setup is a bit different right now, so I can't be my normal boisterous self, and yeah, it's just, I might be talking in a quieter voice than you're used to. That being said, that doesn't mean I'm not incredibly excited about all these cards. Silverback Elder, if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check that episode out. But make sure you stay tuned to this episode first, because this commander has me saying, oh no. And again, I would normally be, more boisterous about that, but I can't be right now. But it might not be for the reason that you think is why I'm saying oh no. So to find out what that reason is, let's jump into it. So, Greensleeves Maro-Sorcerer is a star elemental that costs 3 green. It has protection from planeswalkers and from wizards, and Greensleeves Maro-Sorcerer's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. But on top of that, and this is why I'm saying oh no, whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green badger creature token. So this commander is, well, it's really interesting because, I mean, we used to get these kinds of creatures, and I'm actually going to give an example here in a bit where, it's like power and toughness each equal number of lands you control, and that used to be like, oh my goodness, incredibly powerful back, 20 years ago or whatnot. And that's basically all it did. Obviously, with this one, that's still a very powerful thing. This one also has just other, powerful stuff stapled onto it, because that's just, how Magic is these days. The power level of cards has definitely increased. Now, protection from planeswalkers and from wizards, that is probably something in the storyline, I'm sure. So someone in the comments below, if you know, please let me know why Greensleeves has protection from those things. But yeah, that's definitely not a bad thing. Having protection from planeswalkers and from wizards can definitely be very impactful in certain games. And I'll give some examples of some commanders that this can be, that can be a very, it can be a game changer to have protection from those things. And of course, since you obviously are in green with this commander, you've got plenty of ways to get a ton of lands into play to not only make this commander absolutely massive in no time. I mean, even on the turn you just get this down, chances are you're probably not running mana rocks in a deck like this. But yeah, even if you get this down again on curve on, with 5 lands, yeah, it's a 5/5 just right there. Next turn, 6/6 plus, probably ramping some more. So this commander can get big quite quickly and become quite a threat. Obviously, again, it doesn't have trample, but if you are playing against, a wizard tribal deck, they're probably not going to be able to block you, so that can be a great way to get through too. Now, obviously, the core of this commander, though, is that last part, being able to make a ton of badgers. And again, that's where my oh no comment comes from, because when players fill the board with a bunch of badgers, I can guarantee that probably about 90%, because again, this might have been before certain players' times, but I guarantee probably about 90% of players, and other players will catch on too, when they at least get a couple of badgers in play, something obnoxious is probably going to happen. In fact, if I was playing this commander, that would be happening too, and it might be already in your head if you know what I'm talking about, but if not, I'll spell it out a little clearer here in a second. Regardless, yeah, this commander seems pretty powerful. Yeah, you've got a lot of ways to flood the board with lands. You've got, a commander that can actually eventually hit pretty hard. It can probably become a, very easily a 2-shot KO, and potentially, again, if you've got some ways to give double strike, even like a Fire Shrieker, maybe even a 1-shot KO. So yeah, this commander can go tall and also wide at the same time. Now, a quick reminder on these quick takes on commanders. In the description below, there is a link to list the cards I'm talking about on this episode, because when new exciting commanders like this one are spoiled, and I think this one's going to be decently popular because, well, players tend to love getting a bunch of lands into play, and also because, again, the annoying thing that I'm going to bring up here in a second. But yeah, there is a link to list the cards in the description below. If you're interested in this commander, consider picking up some of those cards sooner rather than later, because, yeah, some of those cards might go up in price because a new exciting commander like this one, makes players actually want to play with it. But now, with all that said, let's jump into the reason why I'm saying oh no, and why this commander can get pretty annoying depending on who is playing it. And to illustrate this, I'm very sorry, but I'm actually going to perform this as well as I can while doing, again, the jazz, smooth jazz voice. So here we go. Badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, snake is a snake, badger, badger, badger. Okay, I'm so sorry for that, but it had to happen. So yeah, in case you haven't seen, I don't even know what the video is called, right? Badger, badger, badger is probably what it's called. Make sure you check that out at some point. I think that might have been pre-YouTube. When that came out, so yeah, definitely before some Magic players' times. But yeah, if you are building around Greensleeves, there's a chance that you might have already seen that video, and if not, you will, or heard about it, or at least seen another player talk about it. You know, and I guess I'm probably spreading it right now, which is problematic. My apologies, but yeah, I can see players after they get a couple of badgers out, or a couple of badgers and they turn out, just starting to sing that song every single time. And also, and why I brought up the saplings, I mean, there's not really like mushrooms in Magic. I mean, there's like mushroom creatures, which are basically saplings, right? So that kind of counts. But yeah, I mean, actually, there's probably some mushroom cards out there, so let me know in the comments below. Maybe the fungus cards, I guess. There are fungus, so yeah. But yeah, there are definitely going to be times probably where there's saplings on the board, and also like a snake as well, like Sakura Tribe Elder. So you've got all the pieces of that video in this deck, just by playing the deck and with cards that actually work with it. Now, of course, you could just do a badger, badger, badger video tribal deck if you really wanted to, with just a bunch of mushrooms, snakes, and badgers in it. Sure. But at the very least, yeah, you're probably just going to have these anyways. So I can see players singing that song. Now, I'm not going to say that's not going to be entertaining for maybe the first time it happens, but after the 50th time it happens, yeah, it's going to lose some of its appeal, at least to me. Regardless, yeah, Steve, who is a snake shaman, is going to be fantastic in this deck, you know, as is in most decks, you know, that have green. Sacrifice it, go get a basic land, put it in play tapped, then shuffle. So yeah, your snake can go get you a badger, essentially, because you're going to have landfall with that. So yeah, be on the lookout for... Well, I mean, you're probably going to hear it at your LGS. As soon as someone plays Greensleeves at any table near you, you're probably going to hear the Badger song. So if you haven't heard it yet, check it out just to make sure that you are aware of it and that you know that it's going to be coming. Regardless, though, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Magic has come quite a ways, you know, since, again, some of these other, you know, commanders, other legendary creatures like Molimo, Maro-Sorcerer, a Star Elemental with Trample that costs 4 green, 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 so 7 mana in total, power and toughness, each equal number of lands you control. Yeah, same thing. I mean, this one does have Trample, yes, but our new commander has, you know, protection from some things, which is lovely, and then, of course, the ability to create an army of badgers. So, yeah, I'd say the power level of the new commander is definitely above this older Maro. Sometimes, though, yeah, it's just interesting to look back and see kind of how things have changed since then. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, like Ivy Elemental, I loved that card, and I thought that card was so powerful. I think now it's been downgraded, you know, from like a rare in like whatever starter pack I got to like a common now or something, because yeah, it's not that good. All that aside, though, let's jump into more cards that actually work really well with Greensleeves. So yeah, you're in green. Obviously, you've got access to the best land ramp out there. I mean, rampant growth. Yeah, go get a basic, put it into play. Harrow, sacrifice 1 land, go get 2 basics and play. Untapped. And yeah, again, that's just with the 3 mana instant speed spell. This is, okay, I ramp 1 essentially, right? And then I also get 2 badgers, which is 6 total power. And of course, there are plenty of ways to make that even more powerful. But yeah, for a 3 mana spell that is ramping you, you are also just building your army. And of course, yeah, another snake, Sakura Tribe Scout. So yeah, you're not gonna be able to escape the Badger song, I don't think, because there are snakes that can work in this deck too. And of course, saplings, which we'll get to here in a bit. But yeah, Sakura Tribe Scout, tap, you may put a land card from your hand into play. So yeah, another great way to just keep getting more and more lands into play. And of course, there are specific lands that work incredibly with this to ensure that you're going to hit a lot of land drops to be able to keep getting more and more badgers into play. And those lands would be Jungle Basin and Guildless Commons. I mean, those are some fantastic, you know, the bounce lands essentially. Obviously, you can't utilize, you know, any of the like guild bounce lands because this is a single, you know, monocolored deck. But Jungle Basin works great. When it enters the battlefield, enters tapped, enters the battlefield, you have to sacrifice unless you return an untapped force you control to its owner's hand, and it can tap 4 colors and green, so 2 mana. So yeah, I mean, you just bring a force back to your hand, and then you get this into play. And yeah, again, with something like a Secure Tribe Scout that can just keep, tapping to get this in play, you can just, keep your landfall triggers going with this again and again and again. Or, there might be other ways to bring lands back to your hand too. And of course, Guiltless Commons is somewhat similar. Enters tapped. When enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. It can tap for colorless. Keep in mind, this one does not have to have the land be untapped like the Jungle Basin. So yeah, you can just bring back a tap land and get this into play as well. And yeah, these bounce lands just again can be great for landfall synergies. And of course, there are plenty of landfall synergies in green as well. Like, Spore Mound, which there's your fungus, there's your mushroom that has landfall whenever land enters battlefield under control. Create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. So yeah, it is a fungus that essentially, which is like basically a mushroom, which is saplings, which are kind of like walking, talking mushrooms too. So yeah, I mean, you might see some altars that have the mushrooms from. In fact, that's probably gonna happen. You're gonna see, the badger tokens be like, probably just screenshots from the actual music video, if you can call it a music video, whatever it is, and then yeah, using the mushrooms, the snake, and the and the badgers for those, and yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it once, probably on LGS, and then I'm dreading it, which again is why this episode is called Oh No. But yeah, of course, there are other great landfall triggers as well. They can make even bigger creature tokens. Zendikar Royal makes 2/2 elementals with landfall, and then Rampaging Baloths as landfall. Whenever a land is battlefield under control, you may create a 4/4 green beast creature token, so even bigger creatures too. But yeah, your 3/3 badgers are a good kind of, I mean, that's a good amount of power for just a land coming into play. And again, on a commander, that is fantastic. So yeah, I mean, Greensleeves also obviously just keep this in mind too. When it comes to, any decks that essentially really want like a Rampaging Baloth or a Zendikar Royal are probably going to also really want to create a bunch of badgers with Greensleeves too. So those decks are probably going to consider that too. Moving on though, of course, there are some fantastic ways to pump your badgers and other creature tokens too, and just, yeah, make them even more impactful. The first ones came to my mind were ones that actually kind of benefit, well, a strange kind of creature. Muruganda Petroglyph says, creatures with no abilities get +2/+2. Now, obviously, your badgers are ferocious, but they are vanilla creatures, so yeah, I mean, creature tokens like them get pumped +2/+2. So now, every single time a land comes into play, you are getting a 3/3 badger, which is essentially a 5/5. We're just getting a land into play. And yeah, things get ridiculous. I mean, I probably should already brought this up too with other lands that work well, but yeah, Evolving Wilds, putting Evolving Wilds into play. Cool, 5/5 badger, tap, sack it. Get another basic into play, tapped. Yeah, get another badger. So we're just playing a land. You played a land and you just got 10 power right there. I mean, normally it'd be 6, but yeah, with Petroglyph's play, you got 10 power. Ridiculous. And speaking of ridiculous, yeah, of course, Ruxa, Patient Professor, a commander itself that loves creatures with no abilities. When it enters the battlefield or attacks you, return target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. You might not get any benefit out of that actually with this deck, but the other parts of it, creatures with no ability, creatures you control with no abilities get +1/+1. Yeah, another great way to pump your badgers, so they're 4/4s instead. And also you can have them assign combat damage as though they weren't blocked, those creatures that don't have any abilities. So essentially, I mean, cool, your opponents can block those creatures, but you're just gonna be like, all right, let's just push that damage through. So it can be a great way to just kind of, alpha strike an opponent and just take them out. Now, speaking of taking players out, of course, you can also utilize other ways to make your badgers just grossly large and, yeah, very deadly with Beastmaster Ascension, Tribal Unity, and, yeah, Triumph for the Hordes. Beastmaster Ascension says, whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension, and as long as it's got 7 more quest counters on it, it gets +5/+5. Sorry, creatures you control get +5/+5. All your creatures get +5/+5. So yeah, your commander gets even larger. Your commander is going to be massive as it is, but yeah, your commander gets even larger, and of course, if you've got a way to give that trample, great. But yeah, your badgers now, instead of just being 3/3s, are going to be 8/8s. Again, just for a land coming into play. Again, think of that Evolving Wilds example. Yeah, that's going to be 2 creatures for 1 land just coming into play, tapping and sacrificing, getting another land. That's 16 power. Ridiculously gross. Another card to consider that can actually really surprise your opponents out of nowhere and can be a great way to take players out is Tribal Unity, an instant for X2 and a green that says creatures of the creature type of your choice get +X/+X until end of turn. So your opponents, might say, okay, there's a couple 3/3s coming at me. I can take the damage. I'm going to be fine. It's just, 3 3/3s, 9 damage troll. I'm fine. That's fine. But then you cast this, and again, you're going to have a lot of mana, with all that ramp that you have. You can just dump a ton of mana into this, and again, surprise an opponent and take them out of nowhere because, you've got this Badger tribal card, essentially. Or again, you don't really need to surprise your opponents if you're utilizing, Trample Hordes because against the sorcery. But yeah, until end of turn, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain trample and infect. Yeah, that is grossly deadly. I mean, your commander at a certain point again can be a one-shot KO with this. And of course, you're going to have, a pretty massive army of badgers at a certain point, and giving them all trample and infect and +1/+1 is very deadly, especially in combination with some of these other pump effects. Like I mentioned earlier, again, that protection piece, although it does seem kind of tacked on, I'm sure there's a story reason for it. It does apply in certain circumstances, though. Again, if you're playing against, a wizard tribal deck, it's going to be really hard for your opponent to ever block your commander, which is great, so keep that in mind, unless, you've got ways to make tokens of other kinds, but you know what I mean. Anyways, other commanders, though, this kind of shuts down kind of what they want to do, at least against your commander specifically. Niv-Mizzet Perrin says this spell can be countered flying. Whenever you draw a card, it deals 1 damage to any target. Whenever play casts an instant sorcery spell, you draw a card. So Niv-Mizzet Perrin decks can actually just dish out a ton of damage to a lot of things, and yeah, your commander is actually going to be safe from this, which is nice. So yeah, even if Niv-Mizzet, gets Death Touch, which there are plenty of ways that, with equipment that players do that to give Niv-Mizzet Death Touch, or can take out creature after creature, your commander is going to be safe because again, Niv-Mizzet is a wizard. You're a wizard, Niv. Sorry about that. Anyways, Nin is also a wizard. Pay X, blue, red, tap. It deals X damage to our creature. That creature controller draws X cards. So again, another commander that actually can't target your commander because of that protection. Grist the Hunger Tide, a planeswalker that, it also is decently popular out there and can, target creatures as well. -2, you may sacrifice a creature when you destroy target creature or planeswalker. Yeah, not yours though, because yours is protected from that because this is a planeswalker. So just keep those things in mind. Again, although it won't apply into every situation, but yeah, just nice additionally to have. But now this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to give you my final thoughts on Greensleeves Maro-Sorcerer. Yeah, I do think a good amount of players out there are going to be excited about this commander, and yeah, I think it's going to be decently popular. A commander that not only cares about the number of lands that you have in play, but also just cares about getting more and more lands into play to make an army of badgers. That seems like a pretty spicy thing. But again, I am looking forward to probably the first time, again, at LGS, hearing someone go badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, badger, badger, snake, it's a snake, or some variation of that. But yeah, and also seeing, again, their custom cards that, have, the actual badgers from, the actual video and the snakes and the mushrooms. But after the first time, it's probably going to get pretty old. So I am not looking forward to that. But yeah, if you are looking forward to that and you're looking forward to building around this commander, make sure you check out that link in the description below to the card list that I talked about on this episode, and consider picking up some of those cards sooner rather than later because yeah, I do think this commander is going to be pretty popular, and sometimes again that happens, certain cards go up in price. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And of course, with that in mind, also check out my other quick takes and spoilers. There's been a lot of exciting things this spoiler season.
And with that, the show is coming to a close, so it's my turn to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.